As many people probably know, I am not autistic. However, I have what I consider learned autism. It's a term I coined some time ago, many years ago, probably almost 10 years now. And if you don't understand it, it's a very simple idea. Let's say you have an older brother or sister. Or let's say you grew up with your grandparents or your aunts and uncles, anybody really. Let's say they're really quirky. They're very strange. They're very weird. They're liked, but they have these tendencies. Let's say, for instance, you grew up with a very nerdy family. Let's say that your dad's a stamp collector. Your mom collects old porcelain clowns. Let's say that your uncle, let's say you're the only child in currently, right? You're like 12 years old. And then let's say also like your uncle collects rare but valuable comic books of some kind, right? Let's say you grew up in a household where people were very strange. They didn't really talk much to each other because they're very nerdy in their own aspects, and you decided to go that route. Did you ever watch the Simpsons episode where they actually explained Comic Book Guy's origin and how everybody in his family is weird? That's the idea here. If you watch The Simpsons, you probably think throughout the years, okay, this guy's autistic, this guy's not. There's a rumor going around. I mean, well, there's a theory that Ralph's autistic, which is why he acts the way that he does. But who knows? So let's say, for instance, nothing mentally wrong with you, right? You're a perfectly well-balanced person. You have friends. You do what's necessary to you can walk, you can talk, you can use the bathroom, you can take a shower, you can make yourself basic food. I'm not saying extravagant food like I can make, but you can make things. If I said, here's a recipe off the internet, watch a video from YouTube, go try it and see if you can do it, and you have the funds to do it, do you think you could do it? More than likely you could. Well, not everybody can clearly do that. Not everybody is capable of doing the same things, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with not knowing how to do one thing or even knowing what a cervix is, but that's not here nor there. But many years ago, somewhere when I was a kid, I was thrown in special ed because I have ADHD, OCD. Well, now I didn't really have OCD then, but I sort of grew up and I gained OCD by accident. But at the time when I was a child, I had ADHD and anger management issues for the most part, and they never could figure out why I had anger management problems. Not really sure, but I guess that anxiety ate that or something. I don't know. I was trying to say, I guess that turned into anxiety. I don't know. But that being said, a lot of this is different, and I think the biggest thing I've learned with having a special education, is that when you look at it from that perspective and then you see all these people, regular ed people, these people who went through normal high school, they tell you about their high school stories where they walk down the hallway. I keep wanting to say corridor when I think that. They walked down the corridor to their next class. No. They walked to their classrooms, they passed all the lockers, they passed the lunchroom, the gym, whatever, and they were allowed to do it, and they were like, yes, Terry, can I go to the bathroom? Yeah, go to the bathroom. Like, when I was in special ed, I had to raise my hand. Can I go to the bathroom? What level are you? Level 2? Alright, Miss Stevenson will take you. Because if you're level 2 or 1, you gotta have somebody with you. If you're level 3, you're trusted. You have no idea how hard it was to get on level 3. Like, it was one of the most difficult things in high school to stay on level 3. Some kids could do it. I was not one of them. What I learned this is what I honestly learned from special ed. In special ed, they teach you to be better. They teach you to be good. They teach you what you're supposed to be taught as a human being. Not necessarily teaching you like, X plus 7 equals 3,000, right? The answer is 2. The answer is always 2. Or 42. It's always 42. But that's the point, right? We're taught because they don't think that we can understand those things. They don't think that, oh, well, Jared over here He sits over in the corner and all he does is twiddle his thumbs. Have you ever thought to try to get on his level? And there's always people that are autistic that are in regular ed that think that way. I've always asked my dad, said, do you think they ever made a mistake with me? Because, I always heard this thing. Let me Google it, actually. I've always meant to Google this, and I've never done it. Is it possible that a child in the 1990s who was diagnosed... It's a Cora thing, so let's see the first one. Is it possible that a child in the 1990s who was diagnosed with ADHD might really have... ASD, autism spectrum disorder, as there was much less known about ASD at the time. Someone wrote a wall of text, so I'm going to read it. Somebody says, that is possible, but ADHD usually is compatible with good with sociability, having friends, doing okay academically, especially if stimulant meds are given to boost attentiveness and reduce distractibility. ASD is different in that it features impaired sociability, e.g., avoidance of others socially, but can involve good study learning skills and hence adequate school performance and even excelling in favorite subjects like math or science. In adolescence, the differences are more obvious, i.e., while most kids are beginning to do IELTS. What is this? I'm sorry, I have to look. It says IELTS, an isle, as in an island or peninsula, especially a small one. What does that even to do IELTS and date? What does that mean? ASD causes a social shyness and avoidance of interacting socially, but often the development of an area of high achievement in academic subject. Which, okay, hold on, I do want to correct that because that's not always true. Depending on the level and how high functioning you are with autism, I've got several friends that are severely autistic. If you met them, you wouldn't know it at first, but once you start talking to them, one of my buddies, he's really big into cars. He does not shut up about cars. Love the dude to death. He's like a bro to me. He's like my brother, basically, at this point. We talk almost on a daily basis. We text. We send each other stupid shit. And if you talk to the dude, you'd be like, will you stop talking about cars for 5 minutes? Then again, I'm just as bad. I can do that shit with almost anything that I know. Like, I can talk your head off about almost anything. But that's here nor there. So... what are the differences between ASD and ADHD? My therapist thinks I might have ASD, but I don't think I do. A family member of mine has ADHD, and I think I might too. And yes, and if you look up the symptoms, let me see, symptoms of autism. I'm going to show you what these are. If you've never looked them up, you should go look them up yourself. Just type in symptom of autism. And yes, I do suggest anything with .gov or anything to do NHS is always a good thing to try. I suggest the NHS over the CDC just because I trust them more. Signs of autism in adults. If you're an adult and you're reading this or you're watching this video right now, let me read over this. Maybe you're too lazy just like me and I get it. Finding it hard to understand what others are thinking or feeling. I don't really have that problem. Getting very anxious about social situations. That's a toss-up. I mean, who doesn't? Finding it hard to make friends or prefer to being on your own. No, I have a very easy time making friends. I'm just very cautious now because the world's ever changing and you never know what somebody is going to say or do. And with the way that the world has changed in the last 10 years, especially with COVID, it's made people extra cautious. So I can't just go out of my way and be like, hey, how are you? Ohana means family. And they'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you'll be like, okay, I get it. But that's the point. You can't just be like that anymore because people, they freak the fuck out over the tiniest little things. And you're just like, all I want to do is make friends. I wish there was a light bulb above my head and I could give you an idea, But anyways, okay, so seeming blunt, rude, or not interested in others without meaning to. That can be me, but I actually know when I'm being blunt and I know when I'm being that way. And the reason I am that way when I'm blunt or if I'm rude is because one of two reasons. Either somebody isn't capable of getting what I'm saying across to them. So, sugarcoating. I have tried so many times to sugarcoat with certain people, and I still sugarcoat the living shit out of it with certain people. But I realized that there are people out there that you can't sugarcoat because it's the turn a molehill into a mountain situation. And you just go, okay, I tried, I'm gonna be blunt now. And sometimes you gotta be rude to people because they're rude to you first. And so, and I think that what's funny is that people think that, okay, if you act a certain way, you clearly have a disorder. Or maybe, have you ever thought that you grew up that way? That's how things have always been. But you have people out there going, no, that's not normal, my guy. Why is it not normal to be a certain way? It's the same thing as I said earlier. If you grew up with certain family members, you're probably going to imitate a lot of them. My mom and I, we love a lot of the same media. I got her watching anime now, on and off, when she's high or when she's, you know, being silly, and I can get her to come down and watch something. Or, like my dad is a very sexual person. Not like, he's old man sexual. So if you don't know what I mean, hang out with like your cool granddad or your cool uncle for a day that's sort of up in age. Just hang out with them for a little while, and at some point, they'll get comfortable enough to where they'll start saying, you know, in my older days, I would have banged that chick over there. I had a lot of fun. My dad will just go around the mall, and when I'm with him, he'll be like, ooh, there's a lot of cuties out today. And I'm like, Dad, no, they're like half your age. You are a 63-year-old man, and I am 32. I have more of a chance than you do. Quit it. They are old enough to be your daughter or granddaughter. Stop it. Whatever. But anyways, finding it hard to say how you feel? No, I definitely can tell you how I feel. I will tell you, but only if you're willing to listen to it, because frankly, it comes back, it circles back around to, I have been in this situation for so long that people hate hearing my opinion on things. They hate hearing how I feel. And then I have to take a paragraph and I have to find a way to be like, okay, here are the key things from it. And they're like, I still don't understand. I'm like, God damn it, fucking read my paragraph. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry. Today, because of TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, of all the short versions of media that's only 1 to 2 minutes long, I can't focus on a fucking paragraph. You just want to go, ah! Taking things very literal. For example, you may not understand sarcasm or phrases like break a leg. I am a very sarcastic person. But sometimes I've even told my mom that the reason I take things very literal is because anytime I try to go above and beyond, I get yelled at for it by everybody. And so I've come to the conclusion that it's just easier to take things literal. Even if I know that I could do it, I could try to be extra. But if the thing is what I tell people is, well, what I've learned, not what I've told, what I tell people, but what I've learned about people is, again, it's another one of those, take an inch, they take a mile. So if you only do what people expect of you, like, what I mean is if they do what they expect from you, that's a better way to put it. Like, let's say, for instance, one night you ordered takeout. Okay, next night you said, okay, I'm gonna make dinner. The next night, let's say you go out to dinner. You keep taking care of all of that stuff, and you keep doing it. You're the one that's paying for everything, and one night, you get home, you don't want to do anything, you tell the person you're with, you tell your asshole, I just don't feel like doing anything. Well, they're like, well, I don't know what I want to do for dinner now, because you're usually the one that makes the decisions. Well, if you're the one that's always making the decisions, then you're going to be the one who's always expected. And so that's the reason why I don't do it. And I'm not saying that, you know, for guys like me, I don't mind it a lot of times, because, you know, I'm just one of those few guys that actually does enjoy cooking, but that's not the point. The point is that you do have those times in which you can go, well, I don't know. You know, I really am just worn out from the day, blah, 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 blah. And you get the idea. It's not necessarily, is that the Tinkerbell? That is Tinkerbell. And a lot of that is what that comes down to, because you're not really, oh, I don't need that anymore. A lot of it just comes down to the fact that you're not really sure how to express yourself in that instance, because you're the one that's being walked all over. You've probably heard that term more than once. You've probably heard people go, well, I've been walked all over my entire life until one day I snapped, and here I am, you know, in this mental ward. Everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't think he would snap. And it's like, you didn't think he'd snap, huh? Either way, to that's one of those things. Let's see, having the same routine every day and getting very anxious if it changes. Now hold on a minute. I want to point something out. There are people, non-autistic people, who have the exact same thing. They have an alarm clock that goes off at 7 a.m. They get up, they go take a shit, they shower, and they brush their teeth. They go downstairs, they make themselves a cup of coffee, probably rinse their mouth out heavily with water so they can taste the coffee and it doesn't taste like minty coffee. And then they make themselves something to eat, and they sit down, they probably turn on the news, and then they leave the house, they go to work, they get stuck in traffic, they get stuck by some asshole, either one or two times at a time, and you're like, fucking goddamn piece of shit, I'll fucking murder your whole family. But, it's their routine. That's what they do. And so, you think to yourself, well, that's a routine. So, and then, let's say, for instance, one day, that routine gets changed up. Let's say his phone, the electricity goes out, his phone's plugged in, but because his phone has a shitty battery and he's been meaning to take care of it and he keeps forgetting, phone dies, and so he's fucked now. What does he do? He has to get up. His routine's all fucked up. But, that would be a different situation. And then he finally charges his phone up. He calls his boss, hey, my electricity went out, which my phone went out. And you know me, I've been meaning to get that shit. And his boss goes, hey. It's cool. I get it. You're not usually late. You get a pass this time. Just try to get here as soon as possible. I'm not mad. Just hurry up. I know that you're going to be late, so it's okay. You got your work on your desk like always. We'll be waiting for you. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Later. Click. Yes, but people would get upset if they had a routine they had been following, let's say for 10 years. Same job, same situation. Of course you would be upset if it got interrupted. You have things down to the very minute. You walk in the door 10 minutes before you're supposed to. You clock in, you do what you want. You get to talk to your buddies for a minute. Hey man, how was your weekend? It was great. Did you see the game? No, because I'm a nerd. That kind of stuff. Also, I got tiny stickers. Oh, by the way, off topic for a minute. My sister got me this for Christmas. Tiny card to give to me. Like, when I say tiny, I mean goddamn piece of shit. Fucking holy fuck, dude. Here's a penny for size. Like, oh my god, that is tiny, bro. It's very tiny. I've been wanting this set just for shits and giggles, honestly. That's literally the only reason I wanted it. And they said, tiny stickers to customize your tiny box. Hey, baby, let me get in your tiny box. Ooh! See what I said? I'm just like my dad. It cannot be helped. I'm gonna be a pervert. I'm gonna be what's called a provert. Fuck. Anyways. So, you got those situations in which, you're gonna have that day. Okay? Other signs of autism, maybe you're not understanding social rules, such as not talking over people. I have a problem with that, and I know that I do, and I know when I'm talking over people, but the problem is with me, is I just feel like I hate these concepts of social rules. I hate social standards, because to me, when people are like, oh, that's not what you do in society, why not? Who fucking cares? There's so many things. Avoiding eye contact. I don't like eye contact. Neither does my sister. Both of us hate eye contact. It makes us feel weird, dude. We talked about this one time. We don't. If my sister walks in the room, I can just talk to her. She knows I'm directing the conversation at her because she's the only one in the room. Getting too close to other people or getting very upset if someone touches or gets too close to you. Well, unless it's a person I know. I don't usually mind if somebody hangs on me. But I have told my friends that I've never really liked being touched. I don't mind a hug, but I'm not a touchy-feely person like that in that aspect. Now, I'll tell you that I love you, I'll tell you that I care about you, but yeah, you just gotta be careful about that kind of stuff, Noticing small detail, patterns, smells, or sounds that others do not. Okay, this one I definitely can say is so me, all over the place, because I am definitely one of those people. I have very bad tinnitus. And not just that, usually tinnitus is a different range of different sounds, and it also means that my ears are always ringing. Well, I can hear everything in my room. My air conditioner is going. Something over here is moving. I haven't figured out what it is yet. I can hear the fans on my computer. I can hear the fan. I can hear my white fan behind me. Can you see my white fan? Hold on. Yeah, I can hear that white fan. I'm thinking if there's anything else in here that might be buzzing. I'm not sure. I don't know. There might be. I have yet to figure out. Yeah, I don't even know. I hear something over here, but I don't know what the sound is. Anyways, yeah, so I do notice that. And I do notice small details, actually. But then again, I mean, if you watched anything with Sherlock Holmes, or you know anything about him, or, what was it? Anything Sherlock Holmes related, or anything else. Psych. Go watch, if you've never seen Psych, go watch Psych. One of my favorite old series from the early 2000s where, the main character, he's not autistic. His dad is a former police detective, and what he did, it was actually one of the coolest things. He would purposely take things out of the room. He'd say, okay, Sean, that's his name, that was it. Sean and Gus. Sean Sherlock Holmes, I'm not even kidding. Sean and Gus are literally like they're almost a 1-in-1 of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, except for the coke and the, not the coke, but the, heroin use. He didn't do any drugs. Sean is a model of him because he can notice little details, while Gus literally is a pharmaceutical rep, or he does pharmaceuticals. I'm not sure, because if you know anything about Dr. John Watson, is that he's a doctor. And it was funny. And so what Gus is, not Gus, but what Sean would do, what Sean's dad would do is he'd say, I want you to go in that room. I want you to look at everything in that room. Then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some stuff, and I want you to tell me what I moved. And so he'd go in there, 2 minutes later, he'd come out, and he says, okay, I want you to tell me what I moved. And he'd go in there. They would show how he's doing it. He's looking around, and he notices things that are moved. And one time he even did it, I want you to tell me what's not in that room now because of me. And he looks around, and he goes, it was my da-da-da, you took out this, and this. I can't believe you, Dad. And he goes, so you do know it was me. He's like, yeah, of course I know it's you. And so basically he trained him at a very young age to notice details. But the reason it's called Psych, if you listen to the song, Psych you out in the end, he goes into the police station and he starts solving crimes just by key little details because of what his dad has taught him throughout the years. And he basically goes in and he's like, oh, I know what it is. And then he does this like, I'm psychic, I knew it. But like, I think somewhere near the end of like, I think one of the last, I could probably almost pinpoint it. If you go, let me see, I've got the shows, TV shows. Psych, oh, right there actually, 121 seasons. I know that you know that I'm not telling the truth. I want to say either season 6 or 7, I'm not sure. It was sort of it was sort of like a later season when they realized one of the main characters, Juliet, he finally said, okay, look, I'm not actually psychic. And he explained the whole entire thing with his dad. He's like, actually, my dad, he taught me how to be a very good detective, and so that's how he was good at it, because he was like, oh, and everybody believed him. That's what's so funny. But no, he just knew he could look at something and he could see everything. He could even he could pull a Sherlock Holmes and he would look around and he'd be like, oh, I know what this person's like. And fun fact, Sherlock Holmes, he was actually based on a doctor. The doctor in question was this guy who could look at something and he could do that. He'd be like, oh, you're from Westchester. I know this because of the mud on your boot is specifically from that side of London. And just like in Sherlock, I was just listening to one previously. I need to continue it. Sherlock, they hear a rush of footsteps going up the stairs, and Watson goes, "Oh, we have company. It looks like I can't tell who the footsteps are." And he goes, "Oh, throughout the years, you can't tell who that is. That's Lestrade. Lestrade, you're welcome in here anytime. Just go ahead and come on in." And he's like, "Right then. Oh, come on in." Blah 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 blah. And I don't remember, but it's a brand new episode. I honestly suggest if you get the chance, go to I think it's like HarryNile.com. All it spells, Google that. And they make brand new episodes of Sherlock Holmes, the radio play, and I absolutely love it. And I get them every time they come out with a brand new episode, so I still listen to them to this day. One of my favorite things to listen to. But anyways, I've gone on long enough about that kind of thing. But so it says, what are the last ones? It says, having a very keen interest in certain subjects or activities. I mean, that could be said about sports fans. I know people who are so fucking in depth with any type of sport. I know football and baseball people who are just like, man, did you see that field goal? Hey man, he just hit that ball across the field, and be like, yeah man, I saw that hockey game. And I'm over here doing this bit. And anything. But then again, I mean, I'm a card game nut. I've always been a card game nut. And, you know, my specialties, I think everybody has specialties, but, you know, that could be it, you know. Now, autism in men and women. It says autism can sometimes be different in women and men. Autistic women may have learned to hide their signs of autism to fit in by copying people who don't have autism. Be quieter and hide their feelings, appear to cope better with social situations, show fewer signs of repetitive behavior. They probably noticed that they were doing it, and they're like, I gotta stop. This means it can be harder to tell if you're autistic if you're a woman. More in signs of autism, signs in autism in children, signs in autism in adults. Wait, what did that say at the bottom also? Next review due 11th of November. Okay, so they keep it up. They keep it up to date because this one is, they must do it like every 3 years or something because this one says November 2022 and then the next one is 11 November 2025, which I guess makes sense. So let's go forward real quick. Autism in young children, not responding to their name, avoiding eye contact, not smiling when you smile at them, getting very upset if they do not like a certain taste, smell, or sound, repetitive movements such as flapping their hands, flicking their fingers, or rocking their bodies, not talking as much as other children, not doing as much pretend play, repeating the same phrases. Sweet muffins. Autism in older children. Not seeming to understand what others are thinking or feeling, unusual speech, such as repeating phrases and talking at others, liking a strict daily routine or getting very upset if it changes, having a very keen interest in certain subjects or activities, getting very upset if you ask them to do something, finding it hard to make making friends or preferring to be on their own, taking things very literal, for example, them not understanding phrases like break a leg, finding it hard to say how they feel. Autism in girls and boys, obviously the same thing with men and women, it can be a little different. Girls may hide signs of autism by copying withdrawal in situations they find difficult, appear to cope better with social situations, show fewer signs of repetitive behavior. Basically, it's pretty much all the same for women. This means autism can be harder to spot in girls. So that is why we do need to be careful about this altogether, because what I'm trying to get through to people right now is that, yes, I do agree that autism is definitely there, but not everybody is autistic, because a lot of the things, especially for, you know, adults now, a lot of the things that you'll see, if you change up, like I said in the very beginning, like if you have a routine that you've been doing for 10 years, it's not necessarily that you're autistic. You set that routine up so that way you can be more efficient. You don't have to be autistic to be efficient, or you don't have to be efficient to be autistic. I don't know. And again, like being rude or blunt, once you realize how stupid some people are in society, you realize real quick you're not necessarily trying to be an asshole so much that you're trying to figure out, why are people like this? Why is it so hard for me to, you know, talk to people? I think that's one of the most ridiculous problems out there, because I have tried to be blunt with people. I have tried so hard to figure out what it's going to take for me to talk to people. The thing about it that I've learned more than anything is a lot of the problem these days that we have is that while we do have a really touch and go society, we can get on the ball with a lot of things. One of the biggest key problems I have relatively noticed is we have people who don't know how to express their feelings. We have people who don't know how to talk about things. And I think that the biggest problem that we have is that during classes, during regular ed, we need a class dedicated to helping people understand their feelings, saying, okay, it's okay. And you know what? Actually, you know what? This is what we need in high school now. From middle school to high school, we need we need a special ed teacher. She's trained in special ed, and she's a trained psychologist as well. We need somebody that's very high paid as well. And what this teacher's job is is to there should be like 5 or 6 classes side by side or something, and all of these teachers are trained in what I just said, and let's say there's about 15 to a class, 15 or less. Oh, let's say it needs to be an even number on purpose so we can have paired stuff. So let's say there's 12 people to a group, and here's why. That way we can set up scenarios and they can talk things out. They get a sheet and they say, one of you needs the one of you needs to be the antagonist, and the other one needs to be the one that has to defend themselves. And so you both play 2 different roles in this situation. You start out where the antagonist is being the way they are, and then they'd say, well, why do you have to be this way? They try different things, and at the end of the period you have 10 minutes left, and so each group, well, actually, let's just say it's like the last 20 minutes, all 12 of these people, all 12, they get into groups of 6, and they all go up to the class and they do 2 parts, and they're usually they would be usually be this long, even though this doesn't exist. It would be where they would be no more than 30 seconds apiece. So you'd have 2 situations on how the situation. Then the class would raise their hand. Okay, you would ask them, which thing do you think is better? And they're not going to treat them like they're 12. They're not going to treat them like they're stupid. They teach them to learn how to handle a situation. The reason this is so important is because we have these people in society who are so overwhelmed with work, they're so overwhelmed with literally every little detail and aspect of their life, that instead of trying to fix the situation, what inevitably happens? They get punched in the face, they get yelled at, they're angry, things get thrown at them, all this different stuff, and you're sitting there going, you're a grown-ass adult who cannot express himself because at a young age, your daddy told you, what was that, boys and girls? Men keep feelings bottled up. No, the fuck we don't. Do you know what we do as adults? We punch each other. We kill each other. We sexually assault each other. Tell me if any of that rings a bell and is it right? It's not. So, you're sitting there now going, okay, well, if I get into a situation, what do? Well, act like a fucking adult. You sit there and then you don't know what you're supposed to do, but then you act like the ones that are in special ed, like us, we're the wrong people when we're actually taught to deal with our feelings. So we're going, you know what, fuck you, I'm ripping this penny literally in half. My scissors did. Obviously. No, I'm that fucking strong. But that's the point, you know? The point is that we get so frustrated with life that we don't know how to fix it. We don't have people that we can just talk to. We don't have people that we can just handle it and go, this is what we need to do. Because what happens more often than not, we have these people in society that are, how should I put this? They're just constantly angry and they don't know how to deal with life. And so the best thing that we can do is just hope for the best and hope that we get them removed from society, or they go to a special place and then they go to get therapy. Then you have those people who are so, they think that going to therapy is for psychos. Oh, I don't need therapy. There's nothing wrong with me, dude. Any therapist or anybody that ever has gone to therapy will even say, just even if you're having a good day, going to a therapist will help you keep level-headed. It'll keep you from going overboard. You'll feel 1,000 times better when you actually do. And you'll be like, I'm glad that I talked to Dr. Roberts today. He helped me put my head on straight, and now I don't feel like such an outcast, and I don't feel so bad. That's what you can do in those situations, because a lot of times, a lot of people don't know what they need to do. A lot of people are so deathly afraid of talking their feelings out because they don't want to make somebody else upset. A lot of times, all you need to do in that sentence is you just say, I'm upset, here's why. And most of the time, most sane people will go, I'm willing to listen. Do this. If you're my age, you might remember Brain Pop. Go look that up on YouTube. Or actually, I don't know why. It's on Facebook. They don't actually have, if I remember right, let me look real quick. Okay, so they do have a YouTube channel, and it says personal hygiene, ethics, Bass, Reeves, Brain Pop. Look through these. One of them, oh, here it is. Here's the one I just watched. just for shits and giggles. Conflict resolution. It was actually a really good one. I watched it because I haven't seen this since high school. I used to love these. Just because they're just so wholesome and they help you understand. And honestly, I really believe that more people need to watch these. If you have a young child in your life, old enough to where they're watching Bluey and they can repeat things and they can actually talk and stuff. If they're like, let's say 6 or older, I suggest looking at Brain Pop and watching these. Let me see if you can actually... Let me see, can you comment on it? No, comments are turned off. They're probably turned off on all of them. Yeah, comments are turned off. It's no big deal, though. That being said, it's been 37 minutes on my end, and I didn't really think I was going to talk this long, but the biggest problem that I think society runs into a lot of times is that they're so afraid that they're going to upset somebody. And you know what? I'm going to tell you a big secret. You're going to upset people in your life, whether you mean it or not. It sucks. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And the only thing you can do is grow up and get over it. You step away from the situation. Let's say you're with your best friend. You and your best friend have a giant fucking argument. Just because you have an argument doesn't mean you're not friends. It just means you had an argument. Shit happens. Oh no. Everybody's mad now. Let's fix it. You walk away from the situation. You say, I'm going to be back in 10 minutes. I'm going to go get something to drink, relax. Once I'm level-headed, let's talk this out. And a lot of times, most people will agree to that. Most sane people will look at you and go, you know what, that's a good idea. I don't want to say anything that would hurt your feelings or make me look stupid. Fantastic idea. Go do that. There's your solvents, I guess? Is that a word? I have no idea, actually. Anyways, this whole entire spiel is more or less about having ADHD and autism and all that stuff, and I really wanted to talk a lot about helping people get to a point to understanding what they should do and how they should respect each other and all that kind of stuff. And I really do hope that I made a difference. I hope that somebody watching this has the general idea. And if you watched all nearly 40 minutes of it, I greatly appreciate it, and I hope I made a difference. That is one of my biggest goals when it comes to YouTube. I hope I make a difference in somebody's life or in something for people, because I really do worry that our society is just going to keep going that direction. All you can look at it is go, like, why? You know? Coughed a couple times in this, and I'm not sure where this cough is coming from. Anyways, if you liked what you saw, as per usual, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and come back anytime you want to watch any of my videos. I always say, if you don't like my channel, don't subscribe to it, don't like my videos, you may go do your own thing. I hope I made a difference in somebody's life. I hope that you enjoyed this all together. So, here I am at the 40-minute mark. I'll be seeing you.